Creating a recurring invoice. You can create a recurring invoice in two ways: manually or from an existing contract you want to bill. For example, to automatically bill a one-year contract in 12 payments, one for each month. For creating a recurring invoice manually, navigate to an existing invoice that is in the draft status or create a draft invoice from scratch. You can watch our video Invoices and Payments in Dollybar to learn how. From the draft invoice, click on the Convert into Template Invoice button. Provide a title for the invoice. Enter any public or private notes. The payment terms, payment type and bank account are pre-filled from the main invoice. If the module project is enabled, you will be able to choose a project. The Recurrence section has the key parameters for defining the recurring invoice. Enter the frequency of recurrence and choose the unit, either days, months or years. The frequency of recurrence defines the time period between invoices. Choose the date for generating the first invoice and enter the maximum number of invoices that are to be automatically generated. Based on these parameters, the system will automatically generate recurring invoices. Finally, choose whether the recurring invoices will be in the draft status or automatically in the validated status. If you choose draft status, you will need to issue the invoices manually by validating them after they are generated by the system. If you choose validated status, the recurring invoices will be automatically issued without waiting for your validation. The products and services, along with pricing information, are pre-filled from the main invoice. You can modify the prices, quantity and lines at any time. This will apply to all subsequently generated invoices. Click on the Create button to finalize the recurring invoices. You can also create an invoice from an existing contract, for example, to bill on a monthly basis a one-year contract. To create a recurring invoice from a contract, open the contract and click on Create Invoice. This will generate a draft invoice. In most cases, you must have defined your contract by including services with a frequency, for example monthly. That is your common frequency for invoicing. So, even if your contract was defined for 1 year, your invoice should be pre-filled for 1 month. Modify the invoice lines to match the price for your billing frequency. Use the Convert into Template Invoice button to transform the invoice into a recurring invoice, like in the Starting from Scratch process. When a recurring invoice has been generated from a contract, a link still exists between the recurring invoice and the contract. Recurring Invoices module features. You can find two fields in the detail view of a recurring invoice. That provides information about the status of the invoices generated from the recurring invoice. The Number of Invoice Generations Already Done field gives the number of recurring invoices that have already been generated and issued from the recurring invoice. The Date of Latest Generation gives the date when the latest invoice was generated and issued from the recurring invoice. If you want to stop generating additional invoices from the recurring invoice, click on the Disable button. You can also enable a disabled recurring invoice. If you want to manually issue invoices from a recurring invoice, use the Create Invoice button. Note that this is available only when the date for next invoice generation is reached, and the button is disabled otherwise. Note that this step is also not required, because the system will automatically generate invoices from a recurring invoice. Note that in order to have the invoices generated automatically, you must make sure that the module Schedule Tasks of Dolibar is enabled and working. All other features of the Invoices module also apply to invoices issued from recurring invoices. For more information about those features, refer to the video about invoices and payments. If a recurring invoice is linked to a contract, a proposal, or an order, the generated invoice will also be linked to the same object, giving you a complete path of tracking your source or children objects. There are plenty of other features that can be enabled from the setup. Also, like most Dolibar modules, you can add your own custom fields to your invoices, and you will be able to export a database of invoices and payments.